Hello, friends, and welcome to That's the Tea Book Reviews. I'm your co-host, Angela, creative writer and cover artist.
And I'm your co host, Emily, author of the Aurelian Archives series and the Downroot volumes. Welcome.
Welcome. We are here to talk about books and drink tea. And today we are talking about a book called Dust by Kara Swanson. It is the first book in the Heirs of Neverland series, and it is very good.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
First of all, we are drinking tea today, and I have a very interesting mug because it is a square. And what you don't
Nice.
think about is how do you drink out of a square mug? Guess
That's
you
fair.
can't tip it on the side. So I discovered you have to sip it from the corner,
Ah,
like so.
I hadn't
Yes,
thought about that. Yeah.
I know. I didn't either until I poured tea in it the first time and thought, wait a minute.
How does this work?
How does this work?
I love that. But that is your Christmas present mug that goes with your
Yes.
Christmas tree pot, right?
Yes, it is shaped like a Christmas present with a bow, and it comes with a teapot that looks like a Christmas tree.
That's adorable.
Super cute. Guess where it's from? It's from Buc-ee's.
Yes! Yes. Well, going with that theme, I am drinking out of my Buc-ee's mug.
There you go.
And
They've got all the good stuff. I'm just saying.
yeah,
If any of you are not from the South, you really need to get down here and come to
go
a
to
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's. Yeah, they just opened one up in Colorado, right? There's
Oh,
one
did they?
there's one between like Denver and Colorado Springs or something, and then they
Nice.
opened one up in Tennessee that's going to be like one of the biggest ones ever.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
Well, there you go. All right, so let's start talking about Dust. I will start by reading the synopsis on the jacket here. Claire Kenton believes the world is too dark for magic to be real, since her twin brother was stolen away as a child. Now Claire's desperate search points to London and a boy who shouldn't exist. Peter Pan is having a beastly time getting back to Neverland. Grounded in London and hunted by his own lost boys, Peter searches for the last hope of restoring his crumbling island, a lass with magic in her veins. The girl who fears her own destiny is on a collision course with the boy who never wanted to grow up. The truth behind this fairy tale is about to unravel everything Claire thought she knew about Peter Pan and herself. So this, as you could guess, is a twist on a Peter Pan story, but it takes place in modern day. And Peter, as you soon find out, has been, like I said, he had to leave Neverland, is stuck in London, and has started to age. However, unlike in the movie Hook or whatever, he knows who he is. He remembers exactly who he is. He's now probably about 18 or 19, but still acting like a kid. And he has forgotten. He is forgetting some things. He's kind of forgotten how bad things are in Neverland and exactly what happened to bring him here. But it's not like he immediately forgot who he was.
yeah. So one thing that you didn't warn me about before I read it
Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay. It is written in literary present tense,
Oh, yeah.
which usually annoys me to no end, and I abhor books written like that. It's personal taste. But this one, it was hard for me to get used to because it's a little more jarring, I think, is my problem with it. But I did get over it within a few pages, and we were all good and
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, and say I think I didn't even remember that it was that way because it just moves along so easily. I mean, I usually don't read present tense either, but I thought it was so well done. I didn't even remember that it was that way. It's just all I was concerned with was the story. What I thought was super interesting was that it's written in first person from two different characters' points of view, which I'm sure is not the only book who's ever done that, but I
No.
think it's the first book I've ever read that's done that.
You mean you've never
Um,
read Treasure Island?
No, I haven't.
What?
Sorry.
We're going to have to review that book at some point.
Yeah, I never
Force
have
you to read
actually
it.
read it. But yeah, so it's half from Claire's point of view and half from Peter's point of view, both in first person. But at the top of each chapter heading, they do put whose point of view it is so you don't
Yeah.
get confused. So to say chapter 10, Claire, chapter 11, Peter.
Yeah.
So yeah, and also they have very different character voices, so I was never confused as who was talking.
Yeah, I know Bethany Atazada does that with her books. Almost all of them are like in present tense.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it'll
Yeah.
switch viewpoints of which character is narrating that particular chapter. But it
Mm.
does the same thing where it has the person's name by the chapter number.
Yeah. So those are interesting choices, but I think she pulled them off very well. I think
Hmm.
she's a really good writer.
Oh yeah, especially what it's not exactly a debut, is it?
She has other books.
She
I
has
don't know
other
which
books,
one
but
was
she's a
first.
relatively newer author. So
Yeah.
especially for being a newer author, it's very well done.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah.
It does say Errors of Neverland series, but just in case anyone is wondering, it's a two-book series, so you don't have to commit to reading, 7 books or
Yeah.
something if that's a put off for you. I have read the second book to this. It was also very good. It's called Shadow, so that is available.
Yeah. I need to read that one so we can do the second parter
Yeah.
and record on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. So this whole book takes place in our world, and they're trying to get back to Neverland. So the whole thing is Claire, her brother disappeared because he went off chasing Peter Pan, and she's like, Peter Pan's not real, but he thinks he was, and so he disappears. And so she spent years trying to track him down, and that's why she hates Peter Pan. She hates the Peter Pan story. But then she gets a clue, goes to London to look for her brother, ends up meeting Peter Pan himself, and has to confront the reality of magic is real. And in fact, she has magic. She thought she had some kind of weird skin condition, but she's actually producing fairy dust and she didn't
Yeah.
even know it.
I think I
Um,
really liked the way it didn't exactly create like a conspiracy theory around the Darlings, Wendy
mhm.
Darling and her brothers, but kind of a it does address the question of what happened to them at at the end of the first Peter Pan book, and
Yeah.
like their kind of their lineage, so to speak, is kind of like these watcher protectors that stand
Yeah.
in between our world and Neverland.
Yes. Yeah.
And I liked
So,
that aspect of it. Of they're still involved in the story, or their descendants are still involved in the story, and they kind of play this middleman role
mhm.
between the
Right.
people that come from Neverland to our world.
Yeah. Kind of making sure that the two worlds don't interfere with each other too much
Yeah,
in such a way that either one is harmed or whatever.
yeah. I thought that was a really fun, interesting take on that part
Hmm.
of it.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I really liked too what she did with Tiger Lily.
Yeah.
And the idea of James and James Barry being an unreliable narrator in some aspects. He tried to write the Peter Pan story, didn't get all the details right, and so these people are not indigenous Native American tribe, but they're their own indigenous to Neverland tribe,
Yeah.
and so she could create their own culture
Hmm.
around them, and I thought that aspect was very interesting.
Hmm.
Especially
Yeah.
I like the way they get the tattoos and they represent something very meaningful to them and they're like glow. I like
Hmm.
that.
And I don't know if they mentioned it in this book or if it's in the next one, but they also go into like it's not that no one can age in Neverland. You can just choose not to because the indigenous people who live there do
Yeah,
age.
they do age.
Yeah, they do grow up and marry and have kids and whatnot, but it's Pan and his lost boys who chose not to.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very interesting twist on the classic Peter Pan story, and I think even it takes like all the best parts of it and keeps it, stays true to that, while still making a unique story. Because I always did like Peter Pan as a kid. I mean, there is something almost mythical about him. He's almost like a mythical character, and in everything that he represents, and this mischief and this childlike not innocence, he's not innocent, but this childlike playfulness. Like she still maintains that, but also because Pan is a little bit older in this and trying to get home, there's room for development because, like it or not, he is maturing. He doesn't want to, but he actually is.
Yeah.
He's trying. He's literally trying not to grow up, but he is anyway.
Yeah. Well, because in our world he can't help it.
He can't
And
help
it's
it.
like it's
So,
catching up to him all the
Yeah.
years that he didn't age.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I never liked the animated Peter Pan movie. I did not read the book until I was a little bit older. Um, and then it disturbed me a little bit.
Hmm.
But the animated film, I absolutely hated because Peter was just annoying, as well as the voice actor for Wendy. I never liked any of the movies that she played a voice actor in because she did Alice in Wonderland too,
Yeah.
the Disney Alice in Wonderland,
Yeah.
and I always thought she was too old and hoity-toity sounding to be playing these
Yes.
roles, which always
Yeah.
annoyed me. But I loved Robin Williams as Peter Pan in
Mm.
Hook. That was my childhood version of Peter Pan, was the movie Hook.
And I really liked the live action one that they made it in about 2003.
Yeah, that was very well done
That was really
film.
good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Very true to the book too, as far as I remember it. Yeah.
And they got, actual child actors to play all the children.
Yeah.
And it was cute. So yeah, but in this one, as it mentioned in the synopsis, the Lost Boys have turned against Pan, and the thing is, Peter doesn't remember exactly what happened. You get the idea something big went down in Neverland because they're all here. Even Captain Hook is here, his crew is here, the Lost Boys, the
And they're
fairies are
all
here,
trapped.
and they're all trapped here. And so for the whole book, you're like, what happened to Neverland? And it's not until the very, very end that Peter finally starts remembering and answering
Well,
some of those
I
questions.
think it was that he always remembered. He just wanted to
Well, that's true.
forget. He was
He was
trying.
actively,
He was
yeah,
trying to ignore it and just focusing not on how it's partially his fault. He wanted to
right.
focus on how do I just get it back to the way it was. But as he matures, comes perspective on himself that he
Hmm.
didn't have before, of how other people have viewed him and how he has, like, if you look at Peter Pan in the original story, he's actually very controlling and manipulative and a jerk.
It's true.
But that's
It's true.
because he just wants to be a boy and have
Yeah.
like his own fun without, be the leader, so to speak, of that
Hmm.
fun, controlling it.
Yeah.
And
Well, he
so
doesn't.
how that affected other people, is starting to realize
Hmm.
as he
Right.
matures.
He doesn't want any consequences. He
Yeah.
just wants the fun, no consequences, no thinking outside himself. How do my actions affect others? Which, as a kid, I mean, honestly, kids have to learn that. They're not born with the ability to think outside themselves. That's part of child development, right?
Yeah.
He's learning that. But as a child, he just never developed that skill until yeah. So that's part of his character development in this book, which I liked, but still maintaining the cheeky
He's
attitude.
still totally Peter Pan.
He's still totally Peter Pan, yeah.
Yeah.
But I did like though how you weren't quite sure who to trust because you're like, okay, well, Captain Hook is obviously the bad guy, but then the more you learn, you're like, well, is he though? Maybe he's not.
Yeah.
And the second book will delve more into like his actual past and why he is and who he is, and it's super interesting. I
Okay.
like what she did with it.
See, part of what I did not like was we need to take every story and give everybody a traumatic backstory. Which, what she did with that does play very much into key elements of the plot. It's not just giving people tragic backstories to have a tragic backstory. It all ties together very well plot wise, is like
Hmm.
the reason that things are going the way that they are now because of stuff that happened in the past.
Hmm.
And so that the way that she did tie it into the plot uh, was made it more bearable, so to speak. But I'm not usually one for like, let's just make everybody depressed and like scarred for life just for the sake of having that.
No,
I
not just
don't
for the.
like it when they do that with stories when it's like there was no reason to make somebody like that. But the fact that she ties it again directly to all the major plot points
Hmm.
made it
Yeah.
work.
And I mean, kind of when you're taking characters that somebody else has created and they didn't necessarily always give them a backstory. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is how they are. So now it's up to me to figure out why are they this
Yeah.
way.
Well, like Claire.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. She was an original character.
Yeah. She's an original character that starts off and you just like you loved her, but at the same time it was kind of a You need help, girl.
Well, yeah, she does, but she didn't have anybody. She didn't have that support system because, she was an orphan and she doesn't understand her own power. Her one confidant, her twin brother, is missing, has
Yeah.
been for a long time. She has this weird, what she thinks is a skin condition in this, so she's always flaking off. Like stuff is always flaking off of her, and so people think she's weird. And she just she doesn't have a lot of people except for N, who she later finds out is Nibs.
Spoilers.
Sorry, I mean, spoiler alert, guys. But anyways, I thought it was good, true to the spirit of Peter Pan while
Yes.
still being original. And it was definitely worth the read.
Yes. Very fun original story. And
Yes.
again, very much about like finding truth for yourself,
Mm,
but also learning to face consequences.
yeah.
Like accepting things that you do have consequences, that things you say or don't say will have consequences. And it's
Mhm.
like all the characters are kind of learning that aspect of it.
Yeah. And also shout out to the book cover. I thought it was really cool
Oh,
looking.
the cover is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a picture of London with, the sun rising, but what's really cool is not only the two figures flying with fairy dust, but I really like the typography of the title because the title is just four letters. It's just dust. But it's thin and golden, and what I really like is that the T looks kind of like a sword, the hilt of a sword, but then it curves around to look like a hook, like
Yeah.
Captain Hook's, hook.
Yeah. And
So I thought that was really clever.
it's almost like it's a very original style of font, but it's almost like each letter is kind of its own
Yeah.
font.
Uh-huh. And it has all this, it's called dust, so there's all these sparkles coming off of it like fairy dust.
Yeah.
And so I mean that's really the main thing. So well done, whoever the cover artist is. Oh, Kirk DuPont's again. I like this guy.
What other cover did you do?
I think he's done like two others that we've reviewed.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's why it's good.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Talented.
it does say typesetting by somebody else, but I don't know if that means on the cover or in the book.
Hmm.
Anyways,
Well, very talented guy.
very talented guy, yes, obviously. So yeah, check out Dust by Kara Swanson, and I don't think you'll regret it.
Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been That's the Tea with Emily and Angela.
So until next time, read books and drink tea.